Hi everyone, welcome to the Urban Cottage. So, as you all know, I am very new to TikTok and YouTube. I've wanted to start it for a while. I gave it a go a few years ago and then kind of stopped. So now I've started it again. So as you know, most of my content is about cleaning and my dogs and generally my house. But I also want to start making some content about living with a disability and also living with chronic illness, which aren't always one and the same thing, or not for me anyway, because I feel like there's not much out there really about aging with cerebral palsy or some of the comorbidities that come with that. And not much about what it's like to adapt your life living with chronic ill health that is very up and down with no 2 days the same. So if that's the kind of content that you're looking for, this is definitely the video for you. Now, I don't really edit my videos much because I'm not the most technologically minded, so I will try my best not to ramble on too much and just stick to a few main points. First of all, I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy shortly after birth due to a hemorrhage on my brain because I was born premature. I have ataxic cerebral palsy from the chest down. It affects all 4 limbs, but it is worse on my left side. I walk with a crutch and use a wheelchair, which I didn't always. I walked unaided until I was about 24, and this is where the chronic ill health came into play. So at around 24, things started to change for me in terms of my health, my mobility, and some of the symptoms that I was experiencing. Now, we're all told that cerebral palsy is a non-degenerative disability. So the part of the brain that is injured doesn't get any worse. The injury itself stays very much the same. However, new research suggests that as we age, the brain makes new pathways and new neuropathways around the injury, and this carries on all of our life. So we can get symptoms that will go into remission as we stabilise and go through puberty that will then come back around when we're older. And for me, this was very much the case. I had a lot of physiotherapy as a child. Luckily, I didn't have any surgeries as my family didn't opt for this. Everyone's different, but they wanted to go down more the route of physiotherapy and things like that. So I had a lot of physio. I had my legs in plaster, had splints and all sorts of things. And was extremely mobile, would walk everywhere, really active until my mid-20s. And that's when things started to change for me. I started getting a lot more fatigue than I had done previously, and also chronic pain, and I was eventually diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is a common secondary condition for women with cerebral palsy. However, I was very young at the time of the diagnosis. There is a lot of stigma around fibromyalgia, even today, and it is something that completely changed my life and took me on a completely different journey to the one that I had planned, living with a disability. For me, living with a disability was normal. So my life for me was normal, and the things that I could do and couldn't do were normal. And fibromyalgia threw a spanner in that for me and aggravated some of my cerebral palsy symptoms. Now, one of the things that it caused was for me to lose mobility, especially in my lower limbs, and to struggle to maintain walking safely. Due to this, I started using a walking aid at the age of 25, which I was really reluctant to do because I'd walked unaided my entire life, and a lot of people in my family thought that I'd become dependent on the aid and that it would mean that I would lose mobility quicker. But actually, I think that it made it better for me because I continued to walk, and I'm still walking in my 30s, which I have been told that 1 in 4 people with cerebral palsy that can walk and are ambulatory stop walking by the time they reach middle age, for a number of reasons. That's, individual reasons, whether it be safety, loss of mobility, weakness in the limbs, loss of function, all those sort of things. So for me, it was quite a slow decline from the age of about 25. And the next 4 years, I continued to kind of level out, and then it would drop a bit, and then it would level out, and then it would drop. It would never really improve. It would kind of have a baseline and then go down and then up to that baseline again, but never up to where it was before fibromyalgia became part of my life. And then during COVID, I became extremely unwell. After COVID, I had pneumonia and was hospitalised. I had pneumonia in both lungs, and this really hit me hard. I didn't know at the time, but pneumonia is the #1 killer for those of us with CP. Most of us will die from pneumonia in old age. And I never fully really recovered from the pneumonia. I lost some mobility during that time that I've not managed to quite get back. And it's been a difficult road to adjust into a new and slower pace of life. And it's taken me years to adjust to that slower pace of life that I didn't really want. I wanted to travel, I wanted a career, I wanted to work my way up in the care sector and potentially train in nursing. I did travel in my 20s, not as much as I would have liked because the pandemic put a stop to it, and then of course I got ill. I did work in the care sector for about 7 years and I really enjoyed my time. However, I couldn't stay in the sector and I had to retire at 29, which again was a big deal for me. I'd always worked, I'd always been really independent, and then suddenly I found myself with a new challenge and having to slow down in life, and my brain was still going at 100 miles an hour while my body just wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. And that is challenging. Now, I haven't really joined many support groups for fibromyalgia. I did in the beginning, but I actually found them to be quite toxic places to be. And it just didn't work for me. I didn't have mutual understanding with those people as much as I thought I would, because I'd already had a disability before my diagnosis. I already had problems before the fibro kind of came along. So I wasn't really on the same level that they were in a more emotionally developed way, I guess. Everyone's on their own journey, of course. But yeah, so my channel that I'm starting or have started, I really want it to be a space where people that are like me, that have cerebral palsy or live with fibromyalgia or any kind of long-term chronic condition, can come and reach out, and this be a really positive place where people can feel that they're not alone, and you know, that we are all kind of in it together. So with that in mind, I'm going to try and do a few more videos like this, and maybe tell you a bit more about my journey and stuff like that, if it's something that you're interested in. I am very open as well, so if you have any questions that you would like to ask, feel free to ping me a comment and ask away, and I will tell you anything that you want to know, even a personal question is fine. You know, it's fine, you can ask me those questions. Because growing up I didn't really have a friend like me. I didn't have a friend that had my disability. I had amazing friends but they were all completely able-bodied, and I know that sometimes it can feel like a really lonely place when you're the only one in your peer group that seems to be going through something that doesn't seem to have an end. So I would really like this channel not only to be about cleaning and vintage and dogs and cottagecore and all those happy things, but maybe a place where those of us that are battling disability and chronic ill health can find a slower pace of life together. And with that, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you all get out and enjoy the weather, and I hope that you're all well, and hopefully you'll like, follow, subscribe, ping me with any suggestions, and I'll see you again. God bless.